I retired after 36 years in the Air Force in 2020. I am basically a helicopter pilot. So today we have this book in 8 languages. As also a movie is being made on this book. So that's one of the highlights of my writing that I can speak about.
Once again, we are having a great veteran, and I'm very, very fortunate to have met you, Air Commodore Nitin Sathe. So, and I'm interested to know what are all the things you've been doing.
Right.
Sounds really very interesting.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you
Yeah.
so much. And I retired after 36 years in the Air Force in 2020. I am basically a helicopter pilot. So I had a lot of adventurous life in the armed forces, like everybody does. So and I decided to write about my adventures in the armed forces in a storytelling kind of a fashion, ma'am. And it was triggered not because of that I wanted to write, because I was pushed into a situation like the tsunami. When the tsunami happened, I volunteered and I went there to do the rescue, relief and rehabilitation work in 2004.
Wonderful.
So I went to the Andamans.
Oh, wow.
And my experiences of 1 year of working in the Andamans prompted me to kind of start my writing. So I started writing a diary there, and I recorded my experiences of what a disaster can do to people, what we did to rehabilitate the islands. And so it became quite a story to put forward to people. So I had some friends in the media who kind of goaded me, come on, write a book. So I wrote the book as if it was a diary of events.
Wonderful.
And then it was edited by people and with photographs and all that. And it came out as a book called A Few Good Men and the Angry Sea.
Wonderful.
So that was my first stint at writing a book. And it did pretty well because nobody had recorded this kind of effort. And it was used by a lot of universities, colleges abroad also, to do studies on disaster management. So because of which it forced me to also do my MPhil in disaster management and all that, so which I continued to study later on. After that, ma'am, I decided to write a few more books. I just kept writing them. I started writing articles for rediff.com. Okay. I started writing. Then there was a friend of mine who became a quadriplegic due to an accident. He was a pilot in the Indian Air Force. He was my course mate.
Okay.
And he became a quadriplegic at the age of 24. And he was like, he was a vegetable. Just below his knees, below his neck, there was nothing. So when I saw his life, I mean, he decided to live on. He initially wanted to commit suicide, this and that. The whole life, I've recorded this thing. So I wanted to write about him as his biography. But he didn't allow me. He says, no, I have not done anything much in my lifetime. But after he died, I decided to write his biography. So I went and visited his home, his school, wherever he was earlier, and I became him to write this whole story.
Wow.
So it was a story which was written from the heart, and it was called Born to Fly. So that book was my second book, which suddenly shot to fame because it was chosen as the best non-fiction novel for 2016-17.
Amazing. Okay.
So I got some award, the money and all that, in one international film festival. So then because of that, then I got into translating this book into as many languages possible. So today we have this book in 8 languages. As also a movie is being made on this book. So that's one of the highlights of my writing that I can speak about. Thereafter, of course, I wrote short stories of my my adventures in the Congo, my adventures in flying, all those little stories that are there in the armed forces. I wrote them as short stories. Then I did research on the 1971 war. My father was in the army. So he was at the Mukti Bahini in 1971.
Oh.
So I started with his story of 1971. But there's a lot of history which is not being written. And it is with people who are going to die very soon. They're all 80 plus and all that.
Yes.
So I got hold of Dad's friends and a whole lot of old veterans. I got stories out of them.
Okay.
And I started capturing these stories as a series of 71 war. and I also did on the Kargil War. So I combined them together and wrote a book called 1971.1999 War Stories.
Wow.
So that was my next book, and then of course one more after that. And I've just finished with my 5th book, which has just come out last week. It's called The Siachen Soldier. Again, it talks about soldiering at altitude, management lessons from 18,000 feet, what an aircraft does, it's about various aspects of armed forces. So that's been my writing story so far. Other than that, of course, I do a lot of other things, chota mota things like, I'm engaged with, I'm on the board of advisors of a school, a public school in Chandigarh. And I also have, I'm on the board of trustees of an organization called Ghar. And this organization looks after destitute women and children. And why it is called Ghar is very, very interesting, if I may tell you.
Yeah, please.
It is, we have an 8 crore building built in Pune by one Colonel Uberoi. And he's put all his money into this venture. And we've got all Fauji's running this. So we have at the moment 27 or 29 destitute girls who are from sex workers, from the pandemic time they lost their parents. So, and they're from the lower sections of the society. So we have put them in convent and public schools.
Wonderful.
And we're doing that. They stay with us. They train with us over there. We've got additional teachers, works, everything. And the most modern facilities that you can think of in a school environment. Okay, they go to schools, come back, and then they learn at home.
Okay.
So we have this, and then we have destitute. We've got paraplegic women staying with us who become their mothers.
Oh.
So there's a symbiotic relationship which forms between the children and the ladies.
Ladies, yeah.
So this becomes the second thing that we have. And then we have a old age home for which of course people pay and come and stay with us, in which they become the Nana Nani or Dada Dadi. So it's a complete
community,
home.
wholesome community, yeah.
So that's why you call it Ghar.
Oh, wonderful.
So that's what I am with at the moment.